Mallard Creek 3-0-1 travels to Vance. They're 3-0. Last week, Mallard Creek won over Gaffney 27-20, and Vance won over South Meck 49-7. What are your thoughts there?
First of all, this is the game of the week, game of the month, game of the year.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Two powerhouse programs, a traditional, rivalry. Last year, we were at the big kickoff night event at UNC Charlotte. It was a great environment, great game. Mallard Creek did pull that out in their last matchup. Mallard Creek is coming off the bye. They did beat Gaffney 2 weeks ago. That was a very, intense game down in South Carolina, a great environment down there. Coming off the bye, they're going to be rested, they're going to be energized. I'm sure they've been studying Vance the past 2 weeks. They got a good game plan, ready to go for them. Vance, last week against South Meck, they got some different younger kids into the game working on their depth, and I think that's the first key for Vance is depth. Mallard Creek is so good, 2 and 3 deep into their roster at most of their positions, and that is the advantage they have over a lot of teams. It's just quality depth. They're able to sub in guys, keep them fresh. That's the battle Vance is going to have to sustain. How can they handle those waves and waves of fresh players coming onto the field, getting after them on the defensive and offensive lines especially. The player to watch, I think, for Vance is defensive end Steven Sings. Mallard Creek running this air raid offense. You think about air raid, first off. You think about sitting back, throwing the ball 60 times a game, but that's not what Mallard Creek does. They're physical. They can run the football as well as they throw it. And then a player like Sings, he's going to have to get pressure on the quarterback. He's Vance's best pass rusher, in my opinion. And if he can get pressure, that's going to affect, what Mallard Creek can do offensively. Also in the run game, he's going to have to be able to, hold up. It's going to be tough because, Mallard Creek's offensive line is huge and they come off the ball well. He's got to hold up against the run, shed those blocks and keep, plays that can go 6 or 7 yards to 3 and 4 yards. And then, try to keep Mallard Creek behind the chains a little bit. And it's a difficult task, but, he's a good player. He's committed to Virginia Tech, and I think he's up to the task. You flip it over for Mallard Creek. They got to contain Austin Greer in the pocket. There's one thing Mallard Creek has, had an issue with, and I say issue because relatively they don't have a lot of issues. But scrambling quarterbacks, you go back through the years, have kind of given, Mallard Creek trouble from time to time. And Austin Greer is definitely that. He can get out of the pocket, he can ad-lib and make plays on the run, and he throws very well on the run. And that's going to be a big key for Mallard Creek, keeping him contained, making him beat you from the pocket, because if once he starts getting out there, all of your rules and game plan stuff you work on goes out the window, because then it's just kind of like backyard football a little bit. But you look at the key player for Mallard Creek, I think it's the quarterback, Dustin Noller. You mentioned to me before we started this, his stats are just incredible. I can't remember a quarterback, for Mallard Creek having the kind of start to his career that, this young man has had. I go all the way back to Cam Newton 7-on-7 this summer. Mm-hmm. I watched this young man throw the football. He was pinpoint accurate back then, and I said, man, it's going to be some trouble. You put a guy with that kind of accuracy and arm strength with those Mallard Creek athletes at receiver, and then a good offensive system like the air raid, it can be deadly.
Well, and then he's got his Elijah Metcalf is his receiver.
There you go.
And he's got 8 of those touchdowns himself. So he's got, a steady hand to help him out, So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very good point right there. He's a kid that I think is overlooked a little bit because you got so many star players over there, but he's definitely a player that, Vance is going to have to keep an eye on. Now, the interesting thing here is Vance's defense is so fast.
Right.
It's going to be a great test to see, how well can Vance's secondary hold up and give that defensive line and linebackers time to rush the quarterback.
Right.
If they can get a couple coverage sacks and knock Mallard Creek off of schedule when you're calling your plays and such, that's going to go a long way into, deciding who's going to win this game. Had a little bit of talk on social media about it. I think coming out, I think both teams are going to be kind of conservative. They're going to try to feel each other out a little bit, not take too many chances. But, of course, as the game goes along, I think things are going to open up a little bit. And then we're going to start seeing some big plays, possibly from both sides here. But there's a lot of information out on this game. Game is at 7 o'clock at Vance. Get there early. The gates are going to open at 5:30. If you can get there by 6, you might be able to park in the main lot. There's secondary lots beside Vance with the other 2 schools that are nearby. So there should be plenty of parking. You may have to walk a little bit, but the earlier you get there, the better. But it's going to be a great environment. And if you don't have anywhere to go Friday night, come out to Vance, because it's going to be great. And I'll tell you now, I'll be there. Brandon will be there. Our big game guy, Michael McCarver, will be there. This is a mega cast for CFI. But Shiree won't be there. She'll be somewhere else. But great game. We're very excited. And 2 great teams getting ready to go at it.